Welcome to Inside Design with Kandrak and Cole, hosted by two nationally published Atlanta interior designers, Joanne Kandrak and Kelly Cole. These energetic women are also world travelers, charity givers, and bloggers with a wealth of information to share and stories to tell about the interior design world. Okay, now just a warning, this is going to be fun and not too serious. After all, they still do have an interior design business running at full speed.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. This is episode 90, and today we are talking about the Color Forecast 2021 with our guest Sue Wadden, who is the Director of Color Marketing for Sherwin Williams. So we know that this is one of your favorite topics, and it is ours too with one of our favorite guests. Sue, who's the Director of Color Marketing for Sherwin Williams, has been on our show 3 times, so she's quite famous in our eyes, and we could listen to her all day long. Her insights about trends, world events, fashion, and how they relate to color is something that we love to talk about.
Hi.
Yeah,
So
welcome.
To have you again.
Our favorite guest of all time.
Mm-hmm. But before we get started, we want to go ahead and let you know that episode 90 is sponsored by Helzer Brothers Hardware. If you're giving your house a refresh during COVID quarantine like so many other Americans, we hope that new window treatments are part of those improvements. We urge you to look at all that Helzer Brothers has to offer, as they are our number one go-to company. Go to helzerbrothers.com and be sure to check out the Artifice collection from minimalist contemporary design that is all forged ironed. Also, check out their Catalina outdoor collection, which is zinc coated for extra weather resistance, which I have on my screen porch for like the last 5 years, and it looks the same as the day they installed it.
That is awesome.
Go Helzer Brothers.
All right, back to Sue. Hi, Sue.
Hi, guys. How are
So-
you? I'm very excited.
So good. So good. So, for all the unfortunate people who have not listened to the previous 2 episodes that you have been on, why don't you give us just a quick background of how you are the queen of Sherwin Williams?
Well, let me just start. I could take 25 minutes on this. No, I'm kidding. I am the Director of Color Marketing, which sounds like a very fancy title. And all it means is I got a lot going on. My responsibility is to just kind of strategize where we're taking color for the Sherwin Williams brand. And it's a great job, changes day by day, I feel like. But a big part of what I do is our color trend forecast. It's like our global trend forecast. And it's kind of like the love of my life, right? It's the thing that I love to do most. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And maybe color of the year if you want to.
Yes.
Because we have a little background with color of the year. But
Yay.
So I wanted to tell you this, Sue, because you might not know this. Kelly and I participated in one of the CMG's 2-day base camp virtual workshops.
That's Color Marketing Group for everybody out there.
Yes. That helps forecast colors for North America in 2021.
Yeah. So I just saw that in my notes. I'm excited to hear what you guys think.
It was a brain tease. Oh my gosh. The first day, well, I went first. We weren't allowed to be in the same group. And so for everybody out there, we were asked to be a part of this, what do you call it? Just a forecasting
Chromosome.
Group. We were so
chromosome.
honored. And we were with designers and industry people from around the country. I think there was 20 in each group, 16 in each group, something like that. And it was all virtual. It was the beginning of COVID. And we were responsible for coming up with our own palette for 2021 or maybe 2020. It was 2021. Oh my God, my brain hurt.
With the same kind of thing, that keyword.
We had to name all the colors. We had to decide where all these colors were coming from. Were we politically based? Were we environmentally inspired? Were we, what were we speaking to for this forecast? And oh my God, I was exhausted.
It was lot of.
It really shone a light on what you guys do and how intense it is to come up with these
intense.
year after year.
That is awesome. Yeah, Color Marketing Group is just like this iconic organization, and they do such a good job. And I love it for lots of reasons, but it's kind of validation, right? Because we do sort of the same process independently at Sherwin Williams, right? So it's always good from like my perspective to get kind of like a gut check, if you will, on where we're going. But like just talking to everybody, like-minded folks outside of the design community, but also creatives and automakers and product manufacturer. I mean, it's just such a cool group of people that it's such an awesome event. I'm really glad you guys got to participate. But yeah, it's hard.
We were quite honored.
Yeah, it was hard. But so we're going to talk today about the color mix for 2021. And when did you complete that list?
It was February 7th of 2020, right before the bottom fell out on the planet Earth.
Okay.
So I think that's part of the interesting part of the conversation that we're going to have is that the colors didn't really change from where our minds were at the beginning part of the year, what we had seen emerging out of 2020 into, what we wanted to talk about. That really didn't deviate as COVID really struck the globe. Which I think is comforting, in my opinion. It just means that we're going to bounce back. And I think in some ways we're going to bounce back better than we were before this crisis. So we can talk a little about that as well.
So tell us, what did you pick? How did it come to be? Give us some of your...
Yes.
It's the rhythm of color this year, isn't it?
It's the rhythm of color, right. And it's really tied to the kind of ebb and flow of nature. We felt like that was a really strong topic coming, because 2020 for us was all about well-being. And so as we emerged out of that conversation, we wanted to just cycle into something that was about continuity. So it's not like we were going to just blast in technology, for 2021. We wanted it to be about nature and how sustainability and all those biophilic principles and all those design aesthetics that really carry nature to the forefront were going to be important. And we talked a lot about duality, how it's not just one thing, it's impacted by another. So if we're still talking about Scandinavian minimalism, you kind of yin and yang and pendulum swing to maximalism, which is one of the key trends for 2021. Or if you're talking about ancestry and shopping locally, you're also talking about technology and innovation and how that can push us into the universe, So it was it was about balance. And we talked a lot about duality in our forecast meeting, and that really shaped the conversation for the rhythm of color. So there's 4 distinct palettes, and we have a full palette of 40 colors, but we curated down to 10 colors for each palette. And the first one is Sanctuary, which is all about nature, warm neutrals, bringing the natural environment into interiors, how important that is from a materials perspective through just the color. And then we talk about Encounter, which is the second palette, and that is sort of a rich expression of ancestral hues, colors that define the idea of living locally. And it's taking the farm to table concept that we talked about in 2021 and kind of expanding on that and deepening it. So the colors are a little richer. And then we go full court crazy with Tapestry and talk about maximalism and how that's definitely that idea of creative expression is more important now more than ever because of COVID and people's need to express themselves somehow. And many people do that through their interior spaces. So that is a conversation all about color. And, maximalism is so fun and so over the top. But I think there's a way to create sort of a modern maximalist, which is a little bit restrained. And so we talk about that a little bit in the forecast report. And then finally is Continuum. So that's our sort of techie palette, pushing the boundaries. And we were getting a lot of inspiration from sort of space exploration and deep sea. And just sort of how technology is pushing the boundaries. But I think what's interesting in a direct relationship to COVID is that we need technology in our lives for sure. Everybody does, every day, every generation. But what we want our technology to do is live very naturally. So we want to bring in, we want to have a totally smart kitchen, but we want it to look super natural. And not sort of slick and space age. We don't want it to look like the Jetsons house. We want it to look like a modern farmhouse, right? But we need that technology to take us forward. So again, it was just a lot about this pendulum swing. And then we drop kicked COVID right into the mix of it. So it's been a wild ride.
Now in each category, are there some new colors thrown in? Because I don't remember messenger bag.
Isn't that a cool color? So messenger bag was a color.
I'm going back to Sanctuary, everybody. So Sanctuary is the first one that she talked about. And I just like the name.
It's kind of camo.
Green. Kind of. Yeah, it's absolutely.
Yeah, it's
So
more
those,
green than I would have thought it was. I thought it was going to be like a caramel brown, but it's, I don't know. When you turn it in the light, sometimes it's green
brown,
and sometimes it's brown. And
That's what I was
it's
going to say.
just-
It's a really gorgeous chameleon color. So it lives
Yeah.
kind of in that like khaki green sort of camo area, right? But it's such a complex color. There's so much color in it and tone and variation that it shifts a little bit under different lights, which, might drive some designers crazy because it's not super clean. But I love it. It's a really complex neutral, and it's not one that we talk about all the time, but it's one of the reasons I wanted to pull it in, because it's a super organic color too. It just like looks like the dirt. It's beautiful.
It does. I love that. There's another one that, we've gone so light, but when it comes to the darker ones, rosemary, like I could see that on a library wall.
And that one's in Encounter, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So in one of the images, which people can go to, our color forecast site and check out the mood and inspiration. But we painted a bedroom in that color, and it is lights out beautiful, like just so like verdant. You look at it and you just see green, but it's like this depth. Oh, it's awesome color. I'm glad you like that one.
Yeah, it's very different.
And that's what I wanted to ask you. When I was looking through the website, and for everybody that's doesn't have your notepad by you, you can go see all this on swcolorforecast.com to see everything we're talking about. But on that webpage, the photography that you have perfectly illustrates. I mean, it's so well done, all the colors that we're talking about. So are those all on set designs? Are you taking them from our interior designers putting those together? How do those come to be?
We create those. So that's what's really part of the massive challenge, is a lot of the things that we're talking about, they don't exist yet. Like, they're trends that are emerging. So it's not like you can go out and source furniture. So it becomes a really difficult puzzle to do the photography. So we partnered with a great studio for this shoot, and I love the photos. They came out so great.
They do a great job, because some of the colors are a little wild and weird, and when you see them in the interior, you're like, oh, okay, I'm good with it now. That
exactly.
is awesome.
I get it. Yeah, that's great.
Okay, so I couldn't go by without asking what one of these words means, because
what was the word last time that it was the gold coin word. We had to get Chelsea on the phone to tell us the definition. Remember?
Yeah.
What was it?
I don't remember.
It wasn't ionic.
I remember that definition was gold coin.
So for those of you that don't know, Sue Wadden is the one that picks the names of the colors, which
You might as well be president.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
exactly. All right. So this word I've never heard of, and I'll spell it for you: ALEUTIAN, which I'm assuming is pronounced Aleutian.
Aleutian. So it's the color. It's a C. The Aleutian.
Oh, yeah, because it's a blue.
It's like water based.
Blue.
It's a beautiful blue. It's almost like a denim blue. Like, I think when you talk
Yes.
about Aleutian, you talk about like it's a little deeper and darker as terms of like, when you're speaking of it as the sea.
Yes. So at our next color
it's a
consultation, I can
beautiful
go, oh, I really foresee an Aleutian in this room.
yeah. Put it with a little beadboard and put it in a powder room and call it a day. You're done.
Exactly. It's a gorgeous color. Yeah, it's really, you can use it a bunch of places. But it's got just a touch of periwinkle in it, so it's like a little playful. It's
Yes. Well, whenever I look at the different palettes, I think of what person in my life reminds me of that palette. So when I saw Encounter, it reminded me of my daughter Riley, who's very bohemian, and she loves all these. It's a little bit of, it's that navel, our favorite, mixed with that tarnished trumpet was different. That color mixed into there, and hardware.
Yeah.
I love a little technology color.
I've got a question for you.
Yes.
Does every palette generally have, every year, does it have the color of the year in there? Or was it just ironic that happened this year?
No, I tried. So since I've been in this role, I'm trying to build on that, because colors, and now maybe you're learning that a little bit. Colors just don't cycle out in a 12-month cycle. It's not like they're just gone. Mm-hmm. So if we're putting as much importance as we do on a color of the year, that color is evergreen for a couple years anyway. Mm-hmm. And so now I weave those colors into the forecast. So I dropped off Poised Taupe this year, and which was I think our 2016 color of the year. 2016. And so Cavern Clay is in there, Naval's in there, and then
that
certainly
Naval,
as we move, that was
that Naval's a home run. That Naval is a home run.
Yep, it is.
But I might have to say our new color of the year might top it.
Well, go ahead and tell everybody what it is so we can talk about it.
All right. Our 2021 color of the year is a beautiful color called Urbane Bronze. 7048, and I love it.
Love it. We use that. Kelly and I do a lot of multifamily work, and so we had to select exterior colors for about 7 or 8 properties in Atlanta, and we used Urbane Bronze on a couple of them, and
it's killer.
Love it.
I was very proud that it was already on our radar before it was named, but it's kind of, it's not black. It's not charcoal. It has a tint of green in it.
Tint of brown.
A tint of brown, maybe a tint of
gold.
Yep. It's this
tint, a little purple in some lights,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I love it. I was just holding it up with pure white and what was this one? And messenger bag. The 3 of those together screams farmhouse, like urban, cool, like I've never.
So
because tricorn black is our next, we have a love affair with tricorn black. There's no even conversation. People say, I need a black. Well, okay, we'll let you choose between caviar and tricorn black, and that's all you can choose from because they're the 2 best.
Choose.
Although iron ore is
iron ore is good,
pretty amazing too.
But
have you tried sealskin? Just talking shop here. Sealskin's a good dark too, but it's not a black. It's a brown black. It's pretty.
It's very pretty. But that's what Urbane Bronze reminds me of. It's like sealskin. It's like I want that middle weird color that has a little bit of everything in it, but it's not a definite. That's what Urbane Bronze is, and it's funny because so many colors are not. I don't think can be exterior or interior, but this one can be.
Agreed.
Yeah, definitely.
Totally. That's one of my favorite things about it. In fact, we did some photography recently where we shot an exterior, which we've never done for a color of the year. So I think that just lets everyone know, like, this is totally appropriate in all regions. So even if you're, in Key West, it might not be the color that you paint on your whole entire exterior, but it could be an accent, soffit. It could be a front door. It could be shutters. It could be plantation shutters. Like, it could be, I don't know. It's such a great color. I painted my shed this summer in it because I wanted to test it out outside and see if I'd like it, and I love it.
So when you guys are putting together these palettes and your group of wildly talented and diverse professionals that are doing this, do some come together really easily, or there are some that you really struggle or argue about, or is there ever like a time when you have a color that you fight for? Is it? Yeah.
Yes,
so is there a certain palette that kind of everybody was struggling over, or ones that were a definite home run? Or
so I think in the trend world, I think it's fair to say that there are colors that are or palettes that are like evolving. So we kind of introduced it one year, and then it tweaked a little bit, and it evolved, and it became something new for the next year. And those are familiar, right? Those are things that we're kind of seeing in the marketplace, but they need to get tweaked a little bit and then revised. And then all of a sudden you're ready to talk about it in a new way for a new year. And that's great. But then there are palettes that push you. And so those are emerging and evolving. Well, I call them really emerging. And those are the ones that you push the boundaries on. And like, that's continuum. That tends to always be the technology palettes. Because those colors aren't ones that you always like kind of bring into your home. But
you don't think I could do lemon fresco on the exterior of my home?
Right. That's a little sweet. But I can tell you, like from all the trend reports we're seeing, yellow is emerging as a key color in like 2022, and not just like bright yellow, like lemon yellow. And I task anybody that is listening to go find lemon yellow on Pinterest. You can't. Nobody is using that color.
Yeah. So yellow's tricky.
Well, this will be fascinating because we are one of the few designers that are going to High Point in 10 days. Yeah. And so we're going to brave it and go. And so we will see how this maps out. We're going to have to take some pictures and send it to you.
I would love that.
Let me just tell you what, the chairs that we are sitting in right now, we had our podcast studio redone. I'm holding lemon fresco right up to the chairs, and that's
It's
the exact same color.
It's exact.
So
Stop
it
it.
doesn't, like you mean,
I'm
like
going to take a
walls,
picture right now and text it to you.
like walls
Okay.
don't, walls, I'd never put that on a wall, but you see how in an interior, it's kind of
Yep.
a inspiration for a pop of color in a room. So
Right. Exactly.
That's crazy. Look at that. It's the exact color. We were looking for kind
I
of a
love it.
chartreuse, but it went lemon fresco instead. Wow, how about that? So that's interesting that the technology ones kind of throw everybody for a loop.
Well, and that's where we get to arguing. Like, is that shade of cobalt the exact shade that we're going to see in product design or, in GE appliances? And we can debate that till it's dead. And so I oftentimes just let the team go with those because for me, that's an emerging color. It's not, it's debatable, right? It can change a little bit. It can go more red or shift or do whatever. And that's totally fine. But for a color of the year, that color better look darn good on the walls because we put so much behind it and talk about it. For me, that's worth fighting for, talking about that key color. So it's a fun process. We all are very nice to each other, but we get very passionate.
So being that pink is my favorite color, how did you guys come up with Jaipur pink, which is in the tapestry collection?
Oh my gosh. Well, it was a magazine cover, which I probably can't even talk about on the air because of trademarking, but it was a maximalist. It's coming out. I'll text you. And it was such a killer pink. We loved it. And it was maximalism, right? So it was this creative expression. And pink always lurks in the shadows of key colors because most people are afraid to put that vibrant of a pink in. But I tell you, one of the room shots, the dining room is that pink and it's stunningly beautiful.
Oh. So how do you narrow down the whites? Because I see pure white and highly reflective white, which I have in both of my houses, but there's so many great whites. How did you pick which ones to use? It's kind of like the best blacks.
It's the best black. So I guess for a forecast report, I would usually tend to focus on the top colors, the best of the best, because I don't always want people to spend their time, debating the nuances of creamery versus soji. You can lose yourself in those. Those colors are so similar. So I tend to stick with the cleanest and clearest so that the whole palette as a whole is really harmonious.
are any of the emerald color whites?
No, and I love them. I wish they are. So
I know,
because
we didn't even really talk about that yet.
Because that palette, remember we talked about it last year and I was like, I can't wait to show you guys this new thing I'm working on.
We just did a whole house in Marietta off the square with a lot of the emerald colors.
Gypsum is a good one.
It is a good one.
It's a good one. Oh, they're all so good. So because that line of colors isn't available in all our products, I shy away from it because I just don't want people to get aggravated. And hopefully maybe someday we'll bring all those colors into all of our products, I hope, because they're really good colors.
Yes. Okay, so as our listeners know, and we mentioned, we do a lot of multifamily design. So this year in particular, we chose palettes for the exteriors of 8 different communities.
Yep.
So do these palettes come about in the same way that the interiors do?
Mm-hmm. So our commercial design team, in fact, we could jump on a call another time and talk to them. They're on our forecast team, and I task them with either adapting or editing colors to work for commercial properties, whether it's new res or multifam or hospitality and healthcare or whatever that might be. So I think that the palettes Encounter and Sanctuary would be particularly good for exteriors for commercial.
Yes, I agree. I thought that some of the colors in multifamily, more so than the other color forecast palettes for interiors, seemed to me to be a little bit more demographically geared. Like some of the colors, there's just no way we could pull off. Here in Atlanta.
And really, that's about the storytelling, right? So, some of the like I was saying, some palettes just emerge and take on a very different variation for the following year. Usually, those are the ones that are easy to commercialize. Those are easy to use, and then you have your boundary pushing palettes, which keep you moving, keep us talking about color in the right way, but maybe they're not the most relatable colors. but they're still important.
Right. So we only have about 5 minutes left. So when you look at the 40 colors in this new collection, are there any that you want to particularly bring people's attention to?
Yeah, so I would
big fans of.
I would say the colors in the Sanctuary palette, for sure, that whole palette is workable. We're talking terracottas, the emergence of brown. So obviously we've made urbane browns our hero, but we're going to start to see in design browns really, really reemerge. I think we've enjoyed the stark contrast of white and gray and black, particularly in the modern farmhouse vibe. But what this bronze color does is it allows the capacity of warmer neutrals to come in. So you start seeing those warmer, bone whites, which I am currently obsessed with, and camel tones, and those warmer neutrals, which we need to balance all the gray, look spectacular with bronze. Sometimes they can look too harsh with black. So that's why I like this bronzy tone. So really that was one of the reasons we made it our hero. But from terracottas to denim blues and navies, greens are super important in 2021. They were important this year, but they'll continue to be important in 2021. But we're seeing them in unique ways, to your point, khaki greens and sort of those evergreen tones that are really rich. Mint green, neo mint is just a crazy color that we talked about maybe 10 years ago as really emergent in kitchen design. And it was a European favorite. And it never really, really took hold here. But now it's sort of a sweeter, silvery expression of sage green that's really, really pretty. So, I think there's lots of colors that are going to spin off that Sanctuary palette that we're going to talk about next year. Or I should say in 2022.
Because you'll start working on that when?
In December.
Now?
February.
I'm starting to lose my mind a little bit. Ay.
I would think that the next group is going to be so interesting spinning off of COVID. I mean, maybe it's easier. Maybe there is a clear trajectory of how we get off 2020 and all that's happened.
I think so. I don't know. I'm not laying away sleepless at night yet, but mid-November, I'm going to start losing my mind. Because we want to, you don't want to tell the same story. You want to tell a different story, but you want it to be meaningful. And I don't know. If you have any ideas, send me a text. I'd be curious.
All right. So we are ready for our quotes.
Love these.
Yep.
Love that.
All right. I will start off, since you gave me the funny one, I'll start off with a serious one.
Okay.
All right. So this won't be surprising to you all. From the lovely, notorious Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So often in life, things you regard as an impediment turn out to be great good fortune. And I love that. You know why? Because we're 3 weeks away from Halloween, which was the day that I left my property management career in the rear view mirror. And I thought at the time it was the most devastating moment of my entire life and turned out to be the absolute best thing that ever happened to me. So definitely an impediment that turned out to be great fortune. So thank you, Ruth. Yep.
Okay, the funny quotes just keep going back to COVID.
You can't help it.
You can't escape them. I mean, here they are. I mean, okay, so let's add, I have to put a shirt on for this meeting to the list of things I never thought I'd say during the workday.
I was going to say, I mean, you could tell a funny quote every day just based on the memes that are coming through on our You could even add bra to that.
We did a Zoom meeting with our family, with my family, and I didn't have a bra on, which shouldn't matter. It was my family, but I looked in the Zoom, and I was like, oh God, hold please, I'll be right back. I couldn't even do it.
I love it.
Yeah, I know. We're getting ready to go to High Point, and I was thinking this morning, like, oh my God, I gotta look cute. I gotta look cute for 4 straight days.
Heels.
Did you try I was gonna say, did you put your pants on yet? You're like fancy pants.
Thank God, I did put my jeans on, and they still fit. Thank God. Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, it's gonna be tricky.
It's gonna be fun. Well, I would love to hear from you guys, just to let me know how it is at the show. It feels like such a crazy idea to go to a trade show. I can't wait to get back to normal.
They've been updating us. About 70% of the showrooms are going to be open, which is kind of a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it sounds like they're taking so many precautions with
We had to make appointments everywhere this time.
Appointments.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
We'll probably, I think it's probably going to be one of the better ones because our focus will be a little bit different. We might have time to see new people. We're going to get some great attention, I think.
Yeah, we'll get great attention. We won't be partying as much in the evening, so
won't be eating as much because they're not going to have all that food to draw you into the showrooms. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is great because we usually talk to you right about this time, so we've got the color forecast on our minds to see how tightly woven and reflective these trends are already showing in High Point. So I bet we see a lot of the caramel leather and the browns were coming out last year. So I know we'll see that. I think we'll see the grays petering out and all those bone whites and everything coming back in. And then it'll be interesting. Yep. And then it's always interesting to see what the pop colors are. Exactly.
Well, it's interesting, Sue, because when we do color consultations, we'll bring our little suitcase and we do our thing. And a lot of times people go, so you think I should do like a gray here? And we always tell them that's right this minute, maybe. But going forward, we want to take you further out because we don't want this color to just be great for this year. We want to be able to take this color to be able to take you further, so you don't need to feel like you have to paint it in a couple years. We want to get you to the 5-year mark, and that's really we've been specifying unless somebody really wants the gray. But the average person is not seeing the forecasts like we are, and that I think is what makes us valuable and why people like you are able to help us to be able to do that.
Well, and for all the people rolling their eyes right now and having a big, huge heart attack when you say, you told me to paint it gray, that's why it's like that one color that can make everything make sense. That urbane bronze can all of a sudden tone down the black and the gray a little bit and bring in the caramels and the greens, and it all makes sense. You don't freak out. You don't have to change your whole house, but we can twist it and tweak it a little bit with one color that, makes it all okay, and that's what we'll be doing for the next year.
And I like to say that it's about balance, right? So we don't want to tell everybody, to your point, to repaint all their gray, but you just balance it by bringing additional colors in, and it helps.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Such a great topic. I could talk about color all the time.
With you.
I love it. Yes. You guys are so fun.
Well, thank you. And I'm sure we'll be talking to you next year for the next color forecast. But we just adore it. And again, if you want to kind of recap of what we just talked about, go to swcolorforecast.com. Is that the best thing to do, Sue, for everybody?
It is the best thing to do.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
and then
so interesting. The photography, like I said. Oh,
it's beautiful. So and then from there, you can spin off and check out the color of the year. There's like tabs for that, and there's all sorts of inspiration to search on. So that's the best place to start.
All right, great. Well, always a pleasure. Thank you for hanging out with us for this 30 minutes.
My pleasure. It was great. Okay, thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Join Joanne and Kelly weekly for a lively conversation about trends, travels to industry events, current design projects, the good, the bad, and the ugly, do's and don'ts, product recommendations, and more. Be sure to follow the fun on Facebook. They're on Instagram @Kandrak-Cole, and of course, you've got to visit them online at kandrak-cole.com for more information.